everyone. Good evening. Welcome to another interesting episode of TI Talks on Waiting Day Radio Station UK. My name is Ada, and again on tonight's conversation, we are looking at diaspora parental relationship. We're taking it onto another level. This is the discussion we had last week, and due to popular demand and feedbacks, because we listened to your feedbacks, we've decided to look at the same topic again and try and get different ideas, perspectives, and look at challenges and anything generally that we haven't touched on regards to the topic. So once again, the topic is diaspora parental relationship. And with me tonight on my panel, I have invited the following guests. We have Florence Iwebwe joining us tonight for the first time. Welcome to the show, Florence. Hi, Florence.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight. And we also have our regulars. We have Miss Robson. Welcome, Miss Robson, to the show.
Hi, Ada. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And we have Victoria Shadu. Hi, Victoria. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're keeping well. Hello.
Thanks for being here tonight. And we have, again, Christina joining us from Kenya. Hi, Christina. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Ada. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Thanks for being here. And the least but not the last, the only gentleman with us tonight, Femi Ajibogu. Thanks, Femi. Welcome to the show.
Good evening. Thank you for having me, Ada.
Thanks for being here. Femi is joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. So we have two people in the house with two African perspectives, one in East Africa and one in West Africa. So we hope tonight's conversation will be very engaging. So last week, I'm going to kick it off with just a little throwback on what we talked about last week. Last week, Ms. Robson explained on various levels that most diaspora parents are somewhat, not all of them, most somewhat nonchalant and uninvolved in their parenting today and in their parenting styles towards their children and, in terms of education and other aspects. Now, she also talked about parents being too busy and parents living lifestyles with lots of commitments, i.e. the church, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, all sorts of things going on, in parents' lives. And this sort of like takes away their attention, adequate attention that they should be giving to their children. Surely this takes me back to our own parents' time. Surely our parents back in their days equally had similar commitments, and they managed to still be there, present in our lives as their children. We are parents now. And so what is it that we are missing? What are we missing? Or what is it that we're failing to grasp as parents in this era, more so as parents in the diaspora? What do you think it is that we're failing to grasp? I'll take this question to our new guest, Florence. What do you think it is?
I think it's a combination of factors. I think we have lost the element of the extended family, so that when you have a family now that no longer lives in the village, you have a family who no longer has access to aunts, to grandparents, to extended family members who have the ability to stimulate a child's needs. And even academically, I remember growing up in Nigeria, I had not just uncles and aunts and grandparents. I had them not just giving me advice on how to live and how to do things the correct way, but they'd even help me with homework when my parents couldn't be there. I think the layered problem on top of that is that this same generation has experienced diaspora. Many of us are not raising our children in Nigeria anymore, or wherever we're from in Africa. And so there's a long distance parenting where you have the very small nuclear family with the child in a strange westernized country, most of the time in a city and town that we are the first generation to actually live in. And we have no resources and support for the parents either. So back home, where the children had the resources and input from all these extended family members, it was also beneficial to the parents because it relieved stress. We don't have that anymore. So where you have, for instance, in my situation, living 13 hours away by flight to Nigeria, in Charleston, South Carolina, I did not have anybody. I just had my husband and the children. That's it. If I needed anything, I had to pay for it. And most of the people around you don't have a lot of the cultural values that you're used to and you'd like to, impact on your children. Yeah.
Right. Amazing. Thank you for that opening, Florence. But surely becoming a parent is a choice. You choose to be a parent, you choose to become a parent. It is a choice. And if yes, why then should balancing it along other aspects of life, whether you're in South Carolina, you're in America, you're in UK, you're in Germany, whether you're in Africa, why do you think balancing it therefore should be a problem? It's a choice. We make that choice to become parents and to take whatever comes with it. So back to Florence again. Should it be a problem in terms of balancing it, still?
It's a choice to be a parent. It's most certainly a choice to leave our homeland. And the reason we do it, obviously, it's because for socioeconomic reasons and for infrastructural reasons. But I do think that we whether or not we want to admit it, we are lacking in that department. If you choose to raise your child outside of Kenya or outside of Nigeria, these are the disadvantages of it.
Absolutely.
you're gonna have access to 100% NEPA, but the bad side of not having 100% NEPA is that you're not gonna have your family to support
absolutely.
you.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, it's 50-50. You can't have it all. You make that choice to go away from Africa for better life, greener pasture. You've got to take whatever comes with it and just keep it going somehow. Amazing. Thank you so much, Florence, for that contribution. Now, on that basis, let me go to someone who's based in Africa now. Let me go to Christine. Christine, we're not in Africa. We're in the diaspora. We're raising our children, right? But at the same time, like Florence said, we left the shores of Africa to come and raise our children, and we have to go whatever challenges we face. But back in Africa, when you get married, say you get married to somebody who's from the northern part of Kenya, and the person or the man or the woman, whoever you live with or you're getting married to, says, we're going to move, we're relocating, you're going to move with your husband to another part of Kenya that might be foreign to you. For example, I'm from the eastern part of Nigeria, I'm Igbo. I grew up in Lagos, I'm as good as a southerner, but if I got married and my husband said, all right, we're going to move to the northern part of Nigeria, I haven't got a clue whatsoever about the northern part of Nigeria. So it's similar to what Florence is saying, even though it is still within Africa, but you're moving to somewhere you don't know anyone, no friendship circles, no immediate connection to your own family side. How then is that much different to us here? Is there any difference, Christine, with the diaspora parents who moved to overseas and the African parent who would have moved from one part of Africa to another part of Africa, or even from Kenya to Nigeria? You're married to a Nigerian. Do you think it's comparable?
I would not say, okay, I don't think it would be the same, because she talked about community. I think one of the aspects we have as Africans is community. And I have visited other African countries, Uganda, Tanzania, and you get that sense of even if I'm not one of you, we still have that shared sense of value in terms of I can still find my way around. Definitely it's not going to be the same in terms of resources. Nairobi is the capital city. Northern part of Kenya is completely different. I'd have to adapt to so many things. But I feel like in terms of finding help and finding people, finding resources the way I'm used to, it would actually be easier or cheaper for me because that's not like in the capital. But in another African country, I feel like it would be much easier to settle down. Yes, probably there'll be language barriers and things like that. But in terms of community and in terms of just the aspect of shared value, getting easy labor being cheap and readily available, I think it goes across board in Africa. I don't think it's the same as the diaspora.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that clarity. Let me ask you again. Integrating one's origin, or culture, while living overseas into the child, or trying to bring your child or raise your child. Now, I know you're in Kenya and I know you're in Africa, but obviously in Africa there is this emphasis on culture, right? So integrating one's culture from a perspective of someone who's living in Africa now, and like almost as if you're advising us, we're overseas now, trying to integrate our culture as Africans or tradition or whatever it is, whilst raising our children. How important is it, and why is it important?
Well, I'd say in terms of when it comes to purpose, to a sense of identity, I think it's important for us to have that sense of belonging and knowing our roots. I think Obama best exemplifies that. He had a Kenyan father, Hawaiian mother, but he's really struggled to find who he was, and he had to come all the way in Kenya. He had to go to rural Kenya to find that sense of belonging. So I think it's important to know that I come from somewhere and I belong somewhere, and these are my people. However, it is also important to note that as we are moving from like a more agricultural setting to an industrialized setting, we have different perspectives of success. What used to be successful in the African setting is not the same as it is these days. And so many people are kind of getting lost in that and not seeing the importance of having that sense. We're all human, we're all the same race. So yeah, I think in terms of identity, yes, but as time is going on, as we're becoming more of a global village, it's becoming less and less of a priority, if you would ask me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you so much for that clarification, Christine. Let me ask Femi. Let's take the next question. The same question to Femi. Femi, you're joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. Integrating one's origin whilst living, because you lived in the UK before you relocated back to Nigeria, Femi, so you've had the best of both worlds. Now, integrating one's origin whilst living overseas into the way one chooses to relate with or raise his or her child, how important is it, and why is it important? Now that you've gained both experience of living in the UK and you're now currently based in Nigeria, why is it important?
Thank you very much. I think it's very important for us not to lose the totality of who we are or where we're from. I'll give you a quick example. I think it was in 2008 in UK, I did a research and I had to go to different households to ask questions on my research papers. And I remember going to a Pakistani home. Their grandmother was there who couldn't speak a word of English. And the kids were there. They were speaking Queen English to me and they were translating to their grandmother in their native language. But I found that in the Nigerian community where I belonged back then in the UK, we don't do that. We don't even speak a word of our language.
We speak more of English.
Yeah, and that took me back, and I started speaking my language to my children back then. It really got to me. And I will say again that most of us, when we get to the diaspora, when we get there, we hand over everything like, I think it was Florence. that said it. There is social service, social amenities that we lack in Africa. And once we get over there, we hand over our responsibility to the social welfare. So we expect the state to look after our children, to look after everything for us, to do everything for us. I'm not saying the state shouldn't, but there's still a role the parent needs to play. Let me now bring it back to Nigeria. Even what we're talking about is rapidly changing in Nigeria, in the cities. Parents,
sorry, excuse me about that. That's what Christine just said now. African setting is changing these days.
Rapidly. You find our parents in Lagos, Nigeria, don't even see eye to eye with their children 5 days a week, and that's 20 days in a month. They only see them weekends, and the parents are even too tired. They hand over their children to housemaids and house helps. No longer families, like Florence said. Well, Florence, you were very correct when you were saying that when we were growing up, we had uncles, aunties who were there for us. But now in Nigeria, you find out that most parents are handing their children over to total strangers, and the children are even confused. I'm a Yoruba man, married to a South Nigerian woman. Already my children have two cultures.
Right.
And then I employ a maid from the northern Nigeria. So they're confused.
Wow. Wow. I see.
So we need to take up our role as parents. Like you rightly said, it's a choice to be a parent. And if you know you're going to be a parent, you need to take up that responsibility. You need to create time for your children. And then lastly, I'd like to add that there are too many, we're juggling too many things as parents, where our rat races are too much. Father is going to the left, mother is going to the right, and we're trying to get too much for, I guess that's as a result of capitalism anyway. Thank you very much.
Right.
Let me leave that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that very in-depth contribution, Femi, because, wow, you touched on so many aspects of this conversation that I will be bringing up much later. But if you're just joining the show, this is TIA Talks tonight, and our conversation, we're looking at diaspora parental relationships. So by diasporans, we're looking at African, Caribbeans, and the Asian community. And we're looking at our roles as parents who are living overseas, away from our original habitats, which is our original heritage or origin of descent. Right. I'll take just one more question, then we're going to go on a short break, and then we'll come back and carry on with the show. Right. Let me take this to Miss Robson. From what Femi has just elaborated on, right? How can we use our experiences as diaspora then, as parents, to encourage or form partnership with counterpart communities where we originate from? Like in Kenya, in Nigeria. From my experiences here now, obviously we're all here raising our children as parents, and we're still trying to maintain our cultural identity. Is paramount to us because we know we're away from home. We know we're not in Africa. So we're trying to save what we know, or the knowledge of what we have in terms of our origin, our heritage. But back in Africa, they seem to be losing it. So how can we use our own experience here to form partnership or to form counterpart communities to build these sort of values, to maintain it back with them vis-a-vis here as well? Do you have any ideas, Ms. Robson?
Thank you, Ada. Yeah, I know, we are community-oriented people from back home in Africa, but we can extend that to the community that we live here, maybe in America or in UK or any part of the Europe. What we can do, some of us are Christians, some are Muslims, some are Hindus, some are Sikhs and all that. We can take that into the community of churches, where we can introduce cultural issues within the church. We can, as we do nativity when Christmas is coming, we can have cultural day, have talk with the pastor, have talk with the imam, have talk with the head of Hinduism or Sikhism, whatever area of religion they come from. We can introduce cultural aspects. And I remember some years back when my husband and I used to pastor a church. We used to do that. We have cultural day, we have children day and things like that. And we gather the children together. Some of us are Igbo, some of us are Hausa, some of us are Yoruba. We do various things. We do cultural dance. We teach the children how to speak Yoruba or sing in Yoruba language or in Igbo. And we do food as well. We bring in food, various food. Whoever travels home, bring things in. We have shekere, we have tambourine, we have different musical instruments that we use from in Nigeria. We brought some toys from Nigeria, from various African countries, because we're, from various places. And we used to do that. Whenever we do drama, we do various things. We talk to children about Tale of the Moonlight in Nigeria, where, those things that we used to do. We used to do it in the church then. And this could be emulate wherever we go in the community here. We could get together and, introduce these things to within our community. They can do it. The Muslims can do it as well. The Christians can do it. That's the sort of something I think we can do to bring back. And I know before all the resources and funding were withdrawn from the local community, they used to have funding for various things like this, where they encourage community. I remember there was a after school club I used to go to, Saturday's club, where we used to teach children things like this, and it was funded by the local authority then. But I don't know that none of these things are here anymore because of lack of money, lack of funding.
Lack of funding.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Robson. And that's for us who are here. But
Yeah,
how do we
also.
link this to, how can we collaborate with the ones in Africa for them to understand why it's important to preserve what we have in Africa already, because it seems like they're becoming whitewashed in Africa. But how
right.
do we help them understand that you need to preserve it? We are doing the same here as Africans, as diasporans, as Asians. How do we help them? Will they even listen to us back in Africa? What do you think, Ms. Robson?
Yeah, I think again we have to go into the schools and go into, relate to friends and families as we know them. I don't know why things are changing from good to bad in Africa. I don't know why we're losing our cultural values, we're losing our traditions, we're taking on so much Western world, but they are not taking on our own culture.
Ours.
They are doing theirs and they are embracing ours alongside. And I don't know why we can't do that. I don't know why we have to shut down everything. I don't know why we can't teach children cultural dances. I remember when I was young, we used to do cultural dances. We used to do play and all those things. And yeah, what we can do is to encourage them again and say, look, we're losing our values and all that. We're losing our touch in our tradition and culture. But I'm sure in the villages, it's still like that. But it's only in the city, Lagos or all the cities where they're losing these things. I think so. And, they're embracing too much Western world. It's a shame, really.
Foreign.
Because we don't
Western,
have to embrace all the foreign things and forget our own tradition. We can manage both together. And it's interesting what Femi said. Pardon?
A lot of Asian countries do what you're saying. They embrace both cultures, and they basically just take the best of the Western culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Into their own
integrate
culture.
into.
You mean the
Asian cultures, different Asian cultures, the Chinese, Singaporeans, Indians, Pakistanis, all over Southeast Asia, Vietnam, they all practice it. I think something happened with colonialism, whereby when they left Nigeria, we just didn't have that moral affirmation about the value of who we were. Because part of what colonialism did was that it undid a lot of the great things about who we are, and it talked us down and told us that a lot of those great things that we had and what we did and practice were not good enough. And which is why a lot of, especially Nigerians, but much of Africa that was colonized, you know, they kind of recoiled and only started
I don't
serving.
know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if that is the problem, I think the problem, because I mean, even though we're colonized you know, I grew up in Nigeria, and my experience was not what is happening now. You know, we still spoke the language.
I mean, I was surprised.
You know, so I think things have changed, maybe in the last 15 years in that country, and it's really bad. It's really bad. I don't know why. I think we just I think more
social media.
Yeah, social media is part of it. Yeah, social media is out of
the advent of the internet.
We don't value the internet. Yeah, but that internet, other country has it. They are exposed to it. Why are they not changing? But the thing with us is we have complex. Inferiority complex is the major problem with us in Nigeria mostly, because we want.
I mean, a lot of,
and I know from experience, what I can do better than a white person, we still want to use a white person to front for us, even though we can do it better. So I don't know why we're like that. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. And
I think it's always been
changing,
at least for 25 years. Yeah. I remember when I'd go to Nigeria vacation as a child, and people tried to give me pizza. I'm like, why am I eating pizza in Nigeria? Well,
exactly,
why would you want to take me to a restaurant in Nigeria? I want to cook and eat at home. Never made sense. And these days I see on my social media, some of my friends that live in Nigeria, they go to restaurants and they eat sushi. And I'm like, in Nigeria, in 29-degree heat, you're eating sushi? I hope you're sitting right by the ocean where the fish came from, because between the ocean and the road, that sushi is gone off. Yeah. But people try to eat in Nigeria. For some reason, we feel better about ourselves when we kind of exude
embrace
cultures that aren't ours. And I just find it very puzzling. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of us Nigerians are not aware about how colonialism really took us apart. Yeah. And if people were educated about it, they would be more conscious of, am I doing this because I'm trying to impress
Florence,
or am I doing this for
Florence,
my own?
I mean, colonial, how is that? How is it taking people like you and I apart? Because we're talking about this now.
Well, I'm not,
and we see it is wrong. Yeah, we're not doing it, but that's what I'm saying. You know, we're using excuses. All those things are excuses for these people. You know, so you know that there's no. I mean, how can you be in Nigeria where you speak the language? Yeah. Okay.
Right. Amazing. Amazing. You know, I love what you guys have brought into this conversation, but hold on to your thoughts. We're going to have a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. Please don't go away.
Awesome.